What's going on, guys? Hope you're all doing well. Now for today's video, I wanted to talk about a wild boar movie. We get to see animal attack films on snakes, crocodiles, and sharks all the time, but I can honestly say that it's rare to see one based around a killer pig, especially one that grew to be the size of a rhino if you take the people of this movie seriously. This is the kind of film that I think fans of stuff like Anaconda and Cujo would love, and one that I personally hadn't seen up until now. Razorback is a 1984 thriller directed by Russell Mulcahy. That's right, the man responsible for Highlander, and Highlander 2. Based on a novel by Peter Brennan, the film tells the story of a giant wild boar that has been running around and killing people in the outback, and seemingly nobody taking it seriously. So the story starts off strong with a random guy encountering the Razorback at home one day while he's watching his grandson. Unfortunately for him, the Razorback is so gigantic and fearsome that it tears through his house and takes the boy away, leaving him with a busted leg and a taste for vengeance. What follows is the creation of a character that I can best describe as a combination of Quint from Jaws meets Muldoon from Jurassic Park. This guy walks around with a limp going after the wild boar in a crazy attempt to get personal justice, and honestly, I'm 100% here for it.
There isn't a season for razorbacks, girlie.
Then why kill him?
Something about blasting the shit out of a razorback that brightens up my whole day.
Similar to a movie like Jaws, this film details a creature that's bigger than normal, and one that jacks up a pretty serious body count by the end of the film. But that's not all the movie has going for it. Made in the 1980s, this film has some serious Mad Max vibes, with a ton of desert and crazy nightmarish looking vehicles cruising around the place driven by psychopaths. That probably has something to do with Dean Selmer being hired for director of photography based off of his work on The Road Warrior, which, yeah, I see why they hired him.
Honey poo!
You see, it's not just the wild boar itself that acts as an enemy in this movie, but also a couple of hoodlum lunatics who work at the local slaughterhouse and shoot kangaroos while they're spotlighting at night. These guys may or may not have had a hand in the disappearance of a New Yorker's wife. That guy ends up going down under to find her, before running into the Razorback itself on the hunt. Now I gotta be honest with you guys, the only reason you come to a movie like this is for the monster, and the creature in question is pretty freaking cool. A giant boar that runs around attacking people with massive tusks is what you're in for here, and it's presented with some big ass animatronic effect or puppet that looks pretty decent given the limitations of this kind of movie. You don't get to see it regularly because, you know, they gotta build the movie suspense, but when you do see it, the thing is massive and it gets gnarly with the thrills whenever it jumps someone. Sure, it isn't the most advanced effect you've ever seen, but I'd say that for 1984, it gets the job done pretty well. Just a shame they use so much of that shaky camera movement for whenever he's roaring or busting stuff up. It's kind of funny to me that Russell Mulcahy would go on to do Highlander just after this because, no joke, you can kind of see his version of 1980s music video style editing work even back in this film. There's a lot of those fun transitions that the director became known for when he did Highlander, which I thought was cool in its own right here in an animal attack film. Visually, it's like a precursor to the Connor McLeod story as far as the filmmaking goes, only it's about a wild boar that's gigantic in Australia.
He's only got 2 states of being. Dangerous or dead.
Now look guys, I've seen a ton of movies. I can legitimately say that Razorback is probably one of the most entertaining ones I've seen from the 80s. This movie actually has a lot going on for it, and the story itself is something that I actually do like a lot. Unfortunately, the movie is unintentionally funny at points, and I couldn't help but laugh at some of the dumb stuff that goes down in its runtime, which made me feel bad because I could see what they were going for, and I was enjoying the film for what it was up until really silly scenes happened, like really random editing just It's almost like it's trying to be a comedic when it's not, and the parts that are comedic aren't really that funny, but you know, what do you expect from a 1984 movie about a giant killer pig, right? So if you're ever in the mood for one of those Jaws ripoffs that everyone loved to talk about in the late 70s and 80s, well then a movie about a giant wild boar in Mad Max style Australia may just be the film for you. Anyways guys, those are all just my own thoughts. Have you seen Razorback, and are you interested in seeing it? Personally, I thought this thing was really fun, and again, again, being a fan of Highlander and all these wild animal attack movies, it's pretty cool to see something like this. It's just weird that it visually looks so much like Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior, and then you got this giant animatronic attacking people. But hey, whatever your own thoughts and opinions on this forgotten 80s thriller happen to be, I'd love to hear them in the comments down below.